I was wondering when this was going to drop, and we finally have Android 17, the first beta. I feel like Android updates don't give us the big overhauls that we used to get. Instead, we now get QPR releases, and then we also get the pixel drops as well. But instead, these bigger releases, they tend to focus on smaller changes and refinements, and that's exactly what Android 17 Beta 1 does. Thinking about it, we actually aren't that far away from a full stable release of Android 17. Like, we do have to wait a little bit because Google have said in 26 Q2, that's when they aim to release that full big stable release. And it makes sense because basically Google brought the releases of the big Android updates forward, if you remember. So we could be seeing this from anywhere between April and June, and that kind of falls in line with the new release cycle. Google have also said that they hope to get the Android 17 betas to reach platform stability for developers around about March time. If you don't want to wait for any stable releases though of Android 17, then you can download this right now onto your Pixels, and all you have to do is go to the beta website and you can opt in there and go to settings, and you'll see a software update to download the new Android 17 Beta 1. The full list of Pixels that you can download this beta onto is anything from the Pixel 6, including the A series, all the way up until the Pixel 10, 10 Pro, and the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. But let me give you the warning, as I will always give to everybody when we're in this beta season, it is a risk. Like, putting a beta on your phone, it might be fine, but it also might mess up anything that you're used to using, so potentially using Google Wallet or banking apps or anything like that. So if you are going to put the beta onto your phone, just do it with caution, and if you have like a secondary phone out of the list of Pixels that I just mentioned, it's probably best to put it onto that and not your daily. This is a very developer heavy beta, as Beta 1 always tends to be, because it is for developers to get themselves ready for Android 17. And I've actually not had that much time to play with this yet, so there could be more than what I'm saying in this video, but this is what we know is coming from Google. What is being added to this first beta for Android 17 is a new codec for decoding VCC. VCC is versatile video coding, and what is happening here is basically phones running Android 17 are going to be ready for VCC or H.266 video playback. So Google is trying to future-proof your Android 17 devices. Pixels and Androids in general can already record at H.265, which is smaller file sizes without losing quality. And then we've even seen on Pixels, you can actually record in the AV1 codec, which again is smaller file size without reducing quality. But with VCC, this is enabling the H.266 codec. And that means, again, you're going to be able to record files that have quite good quality, but in even lower file sizes. Just to make it clear, this update doesn't allow you to record VCC. You need dedicated encoders built into the chip. So what is happening here is Google is saying that Android 17 is compatible with newer codecs for playback, rather than a change in the codec that it can actually record in. I'm sure in the next couple of years we're going to see this as an option inside the Pixel camera settings to choose VCC or H.266 as the encoding for recording video, but at the moment you're not going to see that as an option. But Google is saying, hey, we are ready and we're future-proofing here. One of the bigger updates for developers is now having forced app adaptability, and this is actually really nice for those of us that use foldables or tablets. What Google is doing is stopping developers opting out of the screen resizability or orientation options. Basically, if you open an app on a tablet or a foldable, you still get with a couple of apps these black bars on the side. And honestly, this looks bad considering how long we've had foldables for and just bigger screened Android devices. Don't get me wrong, there aren't many apps that still do this, but there are a few. Google is giving developers quite a while to adapt their apps for this, but with Android 17, Google is like, nope, no more opting out, you are forced to do this. This is going to work with any Android device with a screen over 600 dp, so basically tablets and foldables. This just means using apps with bigger screens will become just a nicer experience, rather than it looking a little half-baked and not having those horrible locked aspect ratios, which is only a good thing, and I'm a huge foldable fan, so I'm a big fan of this. Another little change coming is Google making sure that every single app on your phone is the same loudness. I know this is rare to happen, but sometimes you might have noticed that if you jump from one app to another, However, one might be much quieter or much louder than the other, and Google is making sure that this doesn't happen anymore. There's going to be a new API given to developers to make sure that using metadata, the app can dynamically adjust audio playback to make sure it doesn't blast you with something that's much louder than the app you were just in or make it too quiet. Now, this is not the most exciting change and kind of teetering on boring, but I mean, this is something that you're not really ever going to notice either, but I think that's the whole point of this one. Google is trying to make using a Pixel just a little bit more seamless. With Android 17, Google is trying to do something else as well. It's those small fixes, and what they're trying to do here is improve your media and camera app experience. Google is adding some changes to make media and camera experience a little bit more polished across the whole phone. Google is leaning into what it calls the more professional grade behavior, and that's pretty much a big focus on reducing friction when apps move between different capture scenarios. So for example, what this is going to do is if you're inside an app and you change from the main camera to an ultra wide or the telephoto lens, you'll sometimes see that little bit of stutter lag, or sometimes the app will just crash and you have to kind of like reopen it and start again. And Google is trying to stop that here. Google here is just trying to do fewer interruptions. So switching between photo and video, enabling different lenses or activating processing really should seem more seamless and just be a bit quicker. So in theory, what should happen here is those little stutters or freezing or those little visual hiccups that you see should make using the camera inside apps just a little easier. Google is also improving how apps can access, hang on, let me read this, information from the logical multi-camera system. This is so developer heavy. What this means is that rather than just getting metadata from the primary sensor, developers can now request additional information from other cameras involved in that shot. So this would help apps make smarter decisions during zoom transitions or when multiple lenses are working together. Now, this is something that you're probably not going to notice too much. Like using your phone every single day, you're not going to be like, whoa, look at that. I mean, this is something under the hood again for developers, just to make you using your Pixel feel a little bit more seamless and get rid of any of those stutters or make you feel like, oh, what's going on? Hopefully that shouldn't be there with this update. Next, with Android 17 Beta 1, this is all about VoIP calls actually now being visible inside the dialer. This has actually been available for quite a while on Android, but we haven't ever seen it in a Pixel. So essentially, if you were to make a call on WhatsApp or Messenger or Telegram, you would not see that you've made that call inside the dialer, kind of like it didn't exist. But now Google are giving developers an easier way to actually add this into the stock dialer. So if you went into your Google dialer, you could see that you have actually made those calls and from what apps you've made those calls. Now, this doesn't actually mean that every app is suddenly going to appear inside that dialer. So WhatsApp and Messenger aren't going to automatically just appear there with Android 17. But what Google is doing is it's giving those developers a better, clearer tool if they choose to integrate it. And hopefully, if this is a little bit easier, it means that we will see it inside that dialer. And I think this is going to be really cool. Like I've seen this before on other phones, so I'm just hoping that we can get this on a Pixel. And that is kind of everything for Android 17 Beta 1. Now, I'm recording this video before I've been able to have a good play with Android 17, so there definitely might be things that are around and happening visually or some new animations that I just haven't seen. But so far, from what I've read and what I've seen from Google, it's a very developer-heavy beta. And of course, you can go and download this now if you want to through the beta website. You just have to opt in and then go to settings and then you can download it and see it there. But don't do it if it's your only phone, because if it breaks it, you're kind of without a phone. But you know, let me know what you think in the comments of Android 17 Beta 1. There's definitely going to be more to come, and if you do want to read a little bit more about what's happened with Android 17 Beta 1, go to the Android Authority website. Like, we'll have a load of articles on there that will do some good deep dives into this beta. But before you head off, if you can subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. That'd be really nice. And if you do that, then I'll see you in the next video.